Okay. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. What? All right.
Take these bracelets out so they don't be clicking.
Oh, let's turn the phone off, right?
All right, we ready?
Yes.
All right, let's get it.
How you doing?
3, 2.
Good Sunday morning, good Sunday morning, good Sunday morning. This is What's on My Mind, and I'm your host, Miss Michelle. You tune in to WDRB Media, the station that offers you more information and inspiration. WDRB Media is the voice of the community. I am so excited about today. We've got great things going on. I had a whole show planned in my head, but you know me, it can just whisk right out and something comes right in. Let me thank Mr. Danny McDonald. He thought it was so nice, he decided he'd do it twice, so he's joining us again this week. He's got some information for us, and he's going to share that, and we're going to get into some real stuff. Of course, Poochie stopped drinking wine, so he's with us again today.
I'm back. I'm not sweating or nothing. I'm good.
So you've been drinking cognac as opposed to cheap wine?
No, I've been delivered.
Oh, Lord.
I'm delivered.
Okay. So you will not be going to Aunt Bessie's church anymore?
Huh?
You will not be going to ABC.
I'll be going to ABC. Oh, ABC. That's Aunt Bessie's church.
The American Business College, Aunt Bessie's church.
I'm delivered.
So
I don't drink anymore.
I don't either. I just swallow hard. What about you, Dana?
Yeah.
You don't drink?
No. Well, as far as you know.
Okay. Well, like I saw the look on Dana's face when he said that, so we're going to let that go.
Yeah.
First thing I want to do is have Dana tell us about Motivational Mondays, because we didn't get to do it last week.
That's right.
I told you
That's
he's got so much stuff going on
That's
until
important.
I really want to get the important stuff. And then we're going into the conflama of the show. Talk to us about Motivational Mondays.
Yes, thank you so much. And first of all, thank y'all both for having me down here again. I enjoyed it so much last week, and I really wanted to come and do this again. Real quick, it was placed on my spirit probably about 3 years ago to do motivation and prayer calls on Monday mornings. And basically, long story short is, I'm an individual that I used to love my weekends. As soon as I got out of work on Friday, I was excited. Saturday, I was loving having time with the family and friends. Sunday, go to church, get a good word, come home. And then all of a sudden around Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, I'd start getting this little heaviness about me. I'd start getting some anxiety coming about me. And I was like, what in the world is this? And it was basically, even though it was still Sunday, my mind had already gone into Monday and had already gone into what's going to be in my email box, what's going to be on my desk, what responsibilities, what meetings, or whatever the case may be. And it got to a point where I couldn't even enjoy the rest of my weekend because I was already stressing out about what Monday had entailed for me. So I decided that, not only for myself, but for other people that were dealing with the same thing, it would be great to have something to look forward to on Monday mornings. Monday gets a bad rap.
Yes, it does.
It gets a bad rap. And I think that people's perspective of Monday just isn't what it should be. You should be looking at it as a fresh start of your week. You should be looking at it as a new opportunity to accomplish whatever you didn't accomplish the previous week. So, what I started doing is on Mondays at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have motivation and prayer calls. And basically what I do is I pick out some scripture in the Bible. I go over it, I read it, and then I just pull out a couple of points from that piece of scripture on practical things that we deal with on a daily basis, and then I end the call with prayer, and it's been well received. Some people can't listen to it, at 8 a.m., but I do record all the calls, and I get a good reception in regards to it because, once again, I think it's just a situation where people look forward to something that's uplifting for them on Mondays.
You do this every Monday, correct?
Every other Monday, because what I like to do is I like to go ahead and do it on a Monday, record it, and then just let it marinate for a couple of weeks so people that didn't have an opportunity to hear it, you can hear the playback.
Yeah.
So I do it normally every other it's been going really, really well.
Yeah, I've listened to it. There have been times, not necessarily for a Monday, but just during the course of the week, I wake up heavy or down or just going through and can't seem to get motivated to get even up out of the bed. And then, once you get up and you do that, and then you want to lay back down. But I've listened to your motivational conversations, calls, or I call them insights and inspiration.
Right.
And it works for me. Sometimes you need somebody from the outside. Like I read the Word. I get up every morning. I thank God for the wake-up call. I read my daily bread. And then, I talk to Him.
Right.
But sometimes you need just a little bit more. And I have found that listening to Dana's motivational talk, sometimes, more often than not, is just a little, I need to keep it going. Now, what I have done sometimes, I've listened in on a Monday, and I may have played it back, and then, like he said, because it's available, I write the number down, and it's not always, and I'll call it, like if I'm feeling like, I just can't do this.
You can use it later on.
I can use it later on during the week. So it's kind of like the opportunity to have your own little verbal that you can actually hear.
Right.
Motivation. So if I've never said it before, I thank you for that because I know I'm a hard nut to crack. I'm a hard nut to crack, and if you can get to me,
true that,
then I know that he's got to be reaching God knows how many other people. But
exactly.
And here's the thing, I tell people all the time, listen, I'm not a pastor, I'm not a minister, I'm not a reverend or any of that stuff, but I do believe that God speaks to people differently, and I truly believe that He does speak to me. But I believe that one of the reasons that I do have such impact with individuals is because I speak to them as someone that is in the trenches with them. I don't speak to them as if I'm talking down to them and I'm higher up than them. I talk to them about trials and tribulations that I've dealt with. I attempt to be transparent and let them know, what I've gone through in the past or whatever the case may be. And I also, when I break down the Bible, I try to do it in such a practical way that a 39-year-old can hear it and understand, or my 9-year-old niece can hear it and understand, because I think that that's the way that people are really going to grasp what you're trying to say, is when you just speak in regular layman's terms and make it practical and everyday,
keep it
and
simple.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
you said that you're not a pastor, you're not a minister, you don't have a label.
He's saved.
And that's true.
Yeah,
and sometimes, I think the title can be no disrespect to pastors or ministers, but when you minister to someone, it's from the heart and it's what God gives you.
Right.
That makes you no different other than the title than God. I think sometimes Dana has a way of putting things that I believe God gave to him to give to us. He doesn't have to be a pastor or a minister or a deacon or anything like that. It's just what God gives him to give to us. Just like on Sunday morning, you go to get the word, and God has given your pastor or your priest or whatever the word for that day. Right. Whatever God gives him, He shares with us. Now, he may not have the title pastor, but it's what he's doing. He's pastoring, he's ministering, he's sharing the word and like he said, he's down in the trenches. And I have discovered, it's just me, but I easily receive stuff from folk who have been where I have been.
Right,
I have not always been saved. I have, I've lived a worldly life. I've done some stuff that I can't say on the radio.
Please don't.
Because if I do, they're subject to come get me because I didn't get caught.
Please don't. Please.
But
there's a statute of limitations on that. There's a statute of limitations.
Okay, Calvin, take that.
I think you're good.
I'm good. Right. Great. In that case, to hear from somebody who's been, and they can actually speak from it. Now, it's easy, for people like 45 who's holier than thou, let him tell it. We're going to get to him in a minute because we got some theories going on and I just got to really get out. But to hear this from somebody who might possibly have been not necessarily in the same situation, but down, and they've come up, and so there's a come up for me.
Well, I think there's one of the hindrances, I think, in quote-unquote religion or Christianity or whatever the case may be, is the fact that there's not enough transparency. There's too many people that are telling you what you should be doing, and maybe even telling you why you should be doing it, but never talking about the scrapes and the bruises and the scars that they've had over the years, and how that wisdom, that scripture or whatever allowed them to get up. So I think if people were more transparent and if people were more honest about who they used to be and who they really are, I think people will be more receptive in regards to what they have to say to them.
And another thing, the trials and tribulations, the temptations and the things that we go through, the ministers that minister, they go through those temptations and those things also.
Absolutely.
We're all human.
Absolutely. Before you were any of these things, you were human. Like, you were a man or you were a woman. Before you were any of these labels that they give you.
What they do, and I hope that, find a church home that you get this. They teach you how to overcome those obstacles.
Absolutely.
They teach you that I'm human. I've been there. I know what you're going through, but this is the scripture that God gave me in this time, and this is what God gave me in this time.
Absolutely.
But if you got somebody that sit up there and saying you're a sinner, you're no good, you're this, that, and the other. Another thing, you know what I tripped off of? I'm going off the subject a little bit. Do you believe in disfellowshipping people from a church?
That's
Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, I have. The Jehovah's Witnesses do that.
Yeah, I've heard of that, and I think that's one of the craziest things in the world. Because if someone sins and mess up, they need to be in church.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't kick them out of the church.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without it, you're absolutely right in regards to that. I mean, that
That's when they need you the most.
Without a doubt, the church should be a hospital where the wounded come to.
Preach, not like that.
That's what the church should be. But I also want to say something along those lines too. And I know we're kind of going off on a tangent, but I also agree with you in regards to I don't believe people should be kicked out of a church if they do something inappropriate or if they fall off. But I also don't understand people that when they're going through rough times stop going to church.
That's crazy.
Real talk.
That's crazy.
That doesn't make any sense
That's
to
when
me
you
either.
really need.
That's where you
That's
really
good
need
stuff.
to be in
That's
church.
real talk.
Why in the world, when you're going through your toughest times, you're going to go away from where you can get that wisdom, get that comfort, get the tools to be able to get through your situation? Why in the world would you leave that? And this just happens. I mean, I've been guilty of it, and in the past, I don't do that any longer. But in the past, when I was a babe in Christ and didn't really have the wisdom, I'd be going through something, whether it's financially, spiritually, whatever, and I'd be like, oh, I'm not going to church, and I can't deal with it, blah blah, this, that, and other. And that's the opposite of what should be actually happening.
I agree. Totally.
I think sometimes depression kicks in and people don't leave the house, period. Not only do they not go to church,
Depression
they don't
is
visit
real.
their family, they don't
Depression
answer
is
the
a real
phone.
thing.
They don't go. They miss more work than they normally do. But like Dana said, that's the one time when you really need to buckle down and say, if I don't go anywhere else, I'm going to church. Go to your book. I call it my sword. Go to your book and that's when you should really, I think, dig deep down into prayer, because that's when God hears. He hears you all the time, but when you're really down, I think that's when he really shows up and slap out, because he doesn't let you fall.
Right.
Now, we all have to go through something. Those are called tests for our testimonies. Mm-hmm. But when you get away from the church because you're going through something, to me, that's a little to the left. I don't understand that. I really don't.
Some people are outright at that point in their life where they're sinning and they don't care. They throw religion away. I feel they don't want to come to church because they can't deal with the truth, the guilt, the shame, the conviction.
Yeah, the conviction.
They know when they go and they hear that word, what's right and wrong. If you're living right or living wrong. But if they go to church, they don't want to be a hypocrite, and it's like, I know I'm doing this with this person, or I'm doing this, and I'm not ready to totally convict or give my conviction to God. So I'm not even gonna go.
Right.
And I can say that because I've been there.
Right.
Yeah.
Quick, when I was in a situation in marriage and I know I was doing the wrong thing, I could not go to church. It was a shame in me to sit up there, and I'm not thinking about the preacher, but I'm thinking about the Lord. I'm in your house, and I'm getting ready to go right over here to this situation over here.
Right.
So with me, the reason why I can just speak for myself, the reason why I didn't go to church when I was really out there and fornicating and adultery and all that stuff.
You did all that?
Heck yeah, a lot of times.
Oh, man.
But anyway, I'm just saying, when I was going through that, I was ashamed to go to church.
That makes so much sense, though.
I was ashamed.
It makes a
Not
lot
for
of
the
a lot
preacher,
of
but for
sense.
God. I was
Absolutely, because you're not worried about what the preacher is thinking, but you're in there saying, God, I'm in your house and I don't deserve to be here. But the reality of it is there's never a situation where you don't deserve to be in there.
So
but it's hard to grasp that when you're in in a situation like that, and you're in a funk like that, you know. But I get that. I do understand that feeling. I've had that feeling before as well.
I'm being depressed. When my mom passed, I couldn't get up off the couch.
I understand that.
My pastor was calling, people from church were calling. I just could not get up off the couch. And although, you know, I'd watch church via broadcast, I could not get myself to get up and go be with the people. And watching it on TV is fine, but me personally think the word that is for you is for you to be in the building. If you're at home and unless you're sick, that word isn't for you. The word that the pastor is delivering that day is for the people who came to church to get it.
Okay.
Now, if you're sick and you can't go, you may get a pass on that. But yeah.
And I love these conversations because we can take it in a whole different way. I do agree with that, but I will tell you that there's some times that I do something that people might think is weird that I do with my family. And there are times periodically where I will get up and I will decide that we are not going to church that day. And one of the reasons in which I do that is because I don't want to get into a ritualistic mentality in which I think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing for the Lord because I'm getting up on Sundays and going to a building. I believe that sometimes I get out of that simply because I don't want to be an individual that's caught up in I'm going to do whatever I want Monday through Sunday, but as long as I get up on Sundays and I'm in that building, then my life is straight. I'm covered. I ain't got to worry about anything else. So oftentimes I will check myself and say, you know what, we're not going to church today. We're going to have devotion here at the house. We're going to read a little scripture or whatever the case may be, but I'm going to get my church in some other ways throughout the week. So I am a person that loves my church that I attend. I love going with me and my family, and I'll never stop going. But I have a thing where every once in a while I'll just say, you know what, we're not going today. You know, we're going to stay here. We're going to fellowship amongst each other, read some scripture, have some devotion. And like I said, for me, it's more of a just I don't want to get into the ritual of this is what we do on Sundays because the reality is God says that we are the church.
Right.
So I just want to make sure that me, my wife, and my kids know that it's not about just getting up and going to a church on Sundays. What are we doing Monday through Saturday, and how is our light shining on those other days? And then, you know, just kind of going from there. So, you know, that's just something that I do. And like I said, it's more about me not wanting to be chained to having to feel like if I don't go,
I'm missing something.
Then I'm no longer worthy.
I'm bad.
You know what I'm saying? I'm no worthy.
Well, the church is a building. It's bricks and mortar. The actual church is in your heart and in your mind. So if you don't go to the building every Sunday, the Lord understands it, because what the bottom line is to me is what you hold in your heart for Him and how you hold Him up. So me, I don't go to church on Christmas, Mother's Day, or Easter. I leave that for the See and Me Christians, because on those days you can't get in. There's no seat. Easter's are the big hats and little bad kids. Christmas, you know, we trying because it's Jesus' birthday or whatever. And Mother's Day, you ain't seen your mama all year, but here you gonna march her into church on Mother's Day. So those are the days that I take upon myself, you know, that I don't go. Now, there may be other days of the year that I miss, but I'm like, Dana, if I don't get to the building, I bring my heart still goes to my Father. You know, I spend my time, I do what I'm supposed to do in terms for me. But I do that. That's an everyday thing for me. So Sunday's just a day I get dressed up.
And I think that's a great point. I think that's what I was trying to convey, but you just said it perfectly. I feel comfortable at times not going to church on Sunday, knowing what my devotion has been Monday through Saturday.
Exactly.
So it's something that's easier for me because I know every day me and my wife are getting up and having devotion together, having prayer together. I know all throughout the day I'm talking to God. I'm watching television broadcasts of different pastors and ministers and getting that word in me or what have you. So it's something where I don't feel condemned because of the fact that I don't go to the building on a Sunday, knowing that I'm fellowshipping with God Monday through
Saturday. Yeah.
know?
Let me say something real quick. I agree with both with what everybody's saying, both ways, both opinions. But in my case, it's like this: your walk with God is your personal walk with God. Your walk with God is your personal walk with God. My walk with God is my personal walk with God, and it's not for me to judge you or judge anybody else on how they do it.
Absolutely.
They know how they serve their Lord and all that stuff. And like Tupac said, in the end, only God can judge me.
Mm-hmm.
That came from Joe Jit sitting next to me. For those of you who cannot see him, I want you to understand Cat Daddy has on his shades.
His linen shirt.
Linen shirt
I wear
that
my
matches his
sunglasses.
microphone.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
Doing all right, getting good grades. If it's all right, you gotta wear shades.
He wears his shades because his future is so bright.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's
Yeah,
what's up.
we get that. Listen, I'm having a good time. But
Me too, I'm
we
enjoying it.
got to the gist of that. But
Can I give the number for the motivational?
Oh, by all means.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to do that. I'm going to give out the playback number just because some people can't actually get on live. So the playback number, and you can call this number, and it might be an old message, but it's on time for you. The callback or playback number is 712-770-4169, and the PIN is 841701#. I'll say that again. 712-770-4169, and the PIN number is 841701#.
That's what's up.
Cool beans. Now,
up.
I'm not a person who watches the news because, to me, the news is depressing. And I can say that because I've actually gone to the doctor and I used to watch CNN all day long, and I'd be so out of sync. So she told me, one loop of CNN, and that's for you. And I just, snippets of the news. I know things that are going on in jail, not house arrest. In jail. Is that how that goes, Dan?
I believe so.
Prison.
I believe so.
Prison. And I'm just so confused as to, first and foremost, individual that's in the White House had so many charges against him, so many complaints against him, so many cases against him. He was even allowed to run for the office. And then he said it was going to be fixed. He didn't tell you it was going to be fixed for him. He thought it was going to be fixed for Hillary, but he was letting you know that the election was going to be fixed. And he got to be president. And there are other, I want to say, Europeans that have been charged or stuff has been brought against them, and they have yet to go to court, yet to be charged or anything. And one sticks out of my mind, and this is going to get Dana. Ben Roethlisberger?
Roethlisberger.
Yeah, okay, right. That's the
Pittsburgh,
quarterback.
right,
Yes.
He, at some point in time, some chicks had said that he was forceful. I'm not going to say.
Did that ever go to court? I don't know. Did it, Dana?
He had two situations there. I believe they were settled out of
Settled
out of court.
Did he miss a
I believe it
game?
was settled
Did he
out.
miss a check?
He did. He
missed 3
was,
games.
He was suspended for 4 games.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was it. But he violated a woman. Whereas Dr. Cosby, we talking about 40 years ago when that might be what the thing was and the group that he was running with. Now, mind you, he was one of the first, to be up in the loop. So I do believe that folk he was running with, everybody was doing it. And Hugh Hefner, God, whatever you do with God in terms of rest in peace, this man had children up at the Playboy Mansion, 14, 15, 16 years old. Nothing was done or said. But here we are, Dr. Cosby is going to do 3 to 10. I was talking to Poochie, but Poochie brought it up to me because I was like, and he was said people, other people, they stepped out off the job. So these people were fired. Matt Lauer was fired from his job, and he is yet to go to court or anything. Charlie Sheen, he admitted to having HIV or something.
AIDS.
Yeah. And nothing has been done to him. I want Poochie to tell you what he told me about Dr. Cosby.
This is from my information, what I've heard, and I was looking it up, and I'm talking to a few people that I know. Bill Cosby was about to buy NBC.
Conspiracy theories.
He was about to buy NBC. And all this dirt that he did way back then, the powers that be said, we got to release this and then we got to destroy this man. We have to destroy him. And I was just telling her, there's people out there that can do those type of things. There is an elite group that runs this country.
Then you got a serious look.
It's a higher group of people that run the country. If you got control over the money, like Rothschilds, these type of people, they control the wealth. They control where the money goes. Their banks, the European people, they control that. So they have a lot of yay, nay in what goes on in the world, not just the country, in the world. I'm gonna bring this up, and I want y'all to talk on it also. Prince ended up dying. This is for real. Prince ended up dying after he won a $500 million lawsuit
Against who?
Warner Brothers. They had to give him $500 million because Prince wrote the music. He wanted his masters. He wanted, I did this. I created this. He went through. I mean, he bucked against him for a long time. He put slave on his face, and because he was a slave to the business. You know, this is my music. He finally went to court and won $500 million lawsuit. Within a month, he was dead.
Right.
Michael Jackson spoke out on Sunny and said they will kill me. He spoke this stuff, and he wound up dead. So I'm just saying, there's a higher power when you get to these points that you can own or can take over. They can destroy you. And I'm not just saying black men; they do it to white men, whoever.
Wow.
But I guess my perspective is a couple of things on that. One, there's nothing new about that.
Oh, this been going on.
In my opinion, there's nothing new in regards to that, which I know you know that.
Yeah, they've controlled it forever.
But they've been controlled. There's like they say, the 1% is controlling the 99. So that is something that has been going on for a long time. And I don't discount the possibilities of any of that stuff happening to Prince, any of that stuff happening to Michael Jackson, or any of that stuff happening to Bill Cosby. The only thing that I have been conflicted about since this whole Bill Cosby thing came up, and since yesterday with his sentencing, is that I think we still need to be conscious and still need to be sincere to any victim that has had this situation take place.
I agree.
I'm taken aback a little when I see people of color that are so willing to be outspoken in regards to the injustices that is taking place with Dr. Cosby, but I don't hear anybody saying anything in regards to the alleged victims in regards to this situation. Now, if somebody has a theory in which they don't think that this man did absolutely anything wrong, then that's a conversation that we can have, and you can state your case or whatever. But if you believe that there is a chance that these things did take place and that he is guilty of these things, if not all of them, then some of them, then we just have to be cautious in regards to having the dialogue and having the conversation be overshadowed by what's taking place with him, knowing that if the victims or the alleged victims were your mother, your sister, your niece, or whatever the case may be, your thought process would not be that. So, and I bring that up just because I had something tragic happen to a friend of mine recently, who was murdered, and it changed my perspective on a lot of things, because I used to just watch the news, and when something tragic would come on to the news, I would just say, "Oh, that's crazy. There's no way in the world. This, that, and other." But it was because it didn't affect me. It's because it didn't have anything to do with anybody that was in my circle, anybody that I was close to, that I had love for, or whatever the case may be. But now, since that tragedy has happened with my friend a couple of months ago, whenever I watch something like that or see something like that, my immediate thoughts go to who has been victimized or alleged to be victimized. How is their family doing? Or their friends doing, their college roommate, or whatever the case may be, because oftentimes we don't think about the other part of that situation. So I just want to say that I don't disagree that any of that stuff is happening. I believe that there's so much manipulation going on in this country behind the scenes that we really probably don't even want to know about, because it would change, it would make us,
our whole mindset.
Crazy. So I have no doubt that that's happening. I'm just reluctant to really fall on the sword when it comes to situations like this, just simply because of the fact that if this man is guilty of the things in which they've said he's guilty of, then there's families that have been greatly affected. And I don't care if it was 4 days ago, 4 years ago, or 40 years ago, things like that don't go away.
Well, with me, my point of view on that one is this. I understand the victim part of it, and I respect that. But my thing is this. Don't come trying me for something that I did when I was 16 years old. Don't come at me with that. If in this case, if a girl felt I did something disrespectful to her, and now I got a family and I've moved on and I've done this and this happened a long time ago, I'd rather you tell immediately. And sometimes you be stressed, or it hurts, or you're scared, or you have reasons why you might not want to tell, because I know people that have had that burden of rape on them for years and finally got help, but they didn't press charges against the other person. They got help to move on.
Right.
And it was very personal with me.
Right.
And I told this person, give it to God. You got to give it to God. Go get some psychiatric help. Give it to God. But right now is not the time to bring this out. I mean, if you'd have did it as a kid when this was happening to you, or, but right now, these people they're sick in hospitals. They're hurting. They're dying. And this is the truth. This is personal for me. And I said, you can't do that. You can't just destroy their life now. If you would have said
Whoa, wait a minute. Now,
I don't agree with that.
Okay, when you say destroy their lives,
It destroyed her life. It did.
I'm
it did.
in between both, because as Dana said, there are victims. And
True that.
And you said it would destroy the other person's life, like Dr. Cosby's life has been destroyed. Dr. Cosby has lived a life.
Oh, he's lived
a wonderful life. Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely right, Dana, in terms of
the victim. I agree.
Now, I can say this, I'm putting my business out here, but as a victim,
sorry to hear that.
It doesn't go away, and it
never goes away.
What I have managed to do is block it and keep moving. And let me just throw this out there as the thug in me. I'm from the D.
Right. Right.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Hold on, wait a minute. I'm from the D, and it was handled.
Okay.
I didn't have to go to the police.
Okay, it was handled.
It was handled, but that doesn't do anything for I have a scar, but I agree with Dana. It doesn't matter what. Okay, so Dr. Cobb is going to get 3 to 10, and if he did these things to these women, then okay, he should. My thing is he wasn't the only person doing it, and there are other victims that are being ignored. I don't know if your conspiracy theory is the reason he got picked out, or he was the one that we're just going to punish him and let the rest of them see what could have happened. But I don't think it's fair. Dr. Cosby's victims are no different than the victims of the other people.
I agree with that.
They also need to have something done to the people who...
Without a doubt. I mean, the original, thing that kind of turned Hollywood upside down is Harvey Weinstein. And to my knowledge, this gentleman is still walking around free. Mm-hmm. This gentleman has not been any charges pressed against him or anything like that. I mean, yes, he lost his business and this, that, and other, whatever. But the reality of it is that he committed crimes, to my understanding. So you're absolutely right, Brian and Michelle, in regards to that, because why, and it's really a flaw of this country and the judicial system, because there are many instances in which one person who is a certain demographic and a certain financial level will get charged for something, whereas though another person of a certain demographic and financial level will not be charged for it. And that is not how it should be. That's not how it should be at all. And to your point earlier, Poochie, you know, it almost seems that when you're an African American, especially an African American male, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You get brought down. You get brought down to whatever level they want you to be brought.
Exactly.
Be brought down.
That's
down
true.
To. So I will completely agree with you in regards to that. And you know, that's just something that we can only hope that eventually goes away. You know, with you having a son, me having two sons, you hope that, you know, as they get older, that things like that will go away. But you really just got to tell them to be more aware that, hey, you know, you might have a coworker that can get away with something, but just know because of who you are and what your color of your skin is, sometimes you're not going to be able to get away with that stuff. And to be able to say, I know just from being in corporate America, I know from when I worked in corporate America that things that I would say would be perceived and taken different than my Caucasian counterparts.
That's real.
If I was to say something and give feedback and stick up per se for the group, it would be perceived as aggressive.
Right.
But if somebody of a different nationality was to do it, it wouldn't be perceived that way. So that is something that I'm fully aware of, and something that I talk to my boys about, because it's real. It is real in this country that as an African American male, oftentimes you're going to have to be quiet and humble, or you're going to come up against a force that is going to attempt to make you quiet and humble because they don't want us to stand up for ourselves.
We haven't gotten to that point yet where the fact that we have to be twice as good to be considered half as good, that's still there. The world still holds that mentality with black men. Me personally, I think there's nothing greater on the face of the earth than a black man. Right. But they get the biggest, you know, chomp. Nobody takes them for serious. Mm-hmm. And I do believe it's out of fear, because if you give him an opportunity, he will take over.
He will run with it.
And run with it.
But let me say this real quick. You remember way back in the day, the young boy that was accused of looking at a white lady, Emmett Till. Well, this is real talk. Just like they got Bill Cosby for what he did back then, the lady who admitted she lied.
Yes.
On him.
Yes.
And that boy was lynched and killed.
Mm-hmm. Yes. She
lied. She came forth before she died.
Right.
But nothing was brought against her.
Nothing was done.
She's living her life now in her 80s and doing what she got to do, but nothing was done. I'm just about equality.
Her husband and his brother, who actually did the beating and the burning and the maiming, they died, but they died innocent men.
Innocent men. That's what I'm saying.
There was nothing done.
So the spirit, the conviction came on her as she was in her older age, and she said what she did. Now, I feel if you could punish Bill Cosby for what he did, this equality. She had a young black man murdered.
Right.
She should go to court for that. I ain't saying put her in jail. I'm just saying she should be judged like Bill was judged. I mean, it's just equality.
Justice should be done.
Justice be done. I don't care if you're black, white, Mexican, Puerto Rican. I think justice should be done equally.
Across the board.
Across the board. If I get a ticket, you get a ticket. Absolutely. Go ahead, Michelle. I'm sorry.
So recently, the information, all I do remember is a picture. The young man was accused of, he was a highly sought-after athlete. And this European young lady accused him of molesting her. And he went to jail for 6 years. She admitted that she lied. And he was sitting in court crying. And I'm crying because he was going to be set free. But think of all the opportunities that he missed out on because she told a story. And they believed her. And it is hard for a black man. I remember this guy did 35, 40 years in jail for a rape he didn't commit. And then when the DNA thing came out, it cleared him completely.
Right.
And they wanted to know if he was angry with the woman. And he said no, because she thought that it was him. They have now, I think they wrote a book and they do traveling and they talk, they lecture. His last name is Cotton. And she accused him of raping her. And he swore, and he said every day in jail he prayed that the Lord would show somebody the light. And he finally did when they started back in the day, DNA didn't have that kind of stuff.
Right.
But when they got it, it immediately cleared him. But he had spent, that much of his life.
Wow.
And what do you give somebody? How much money can you give somebody?
You can't read, like Dana talked about it, time. You can't pay nobody for their time.
You can't pay them enough. The years that they were lost, you can't pay them back for that.
Money won't do it.
Too many birthdays, too many anniversaries.
Exactly.
Your children are grown and gone. You got grandchildren now.
Absolutely.
And you've missed out on all of that because somebody opted not to tell the truth, and then somebody opted to believe the story that you told.
But I'll tell you this, though.
Tell me what?
The money don't hurt.
Yeah, it would,
Yeah, he gonna live his ladder. He gonna live his ladder good.
Do they give him millions?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they
Every
give
time
millions.
I've seen
Millions.
somebody be released off of false imprisonment, they're breaking off millions.
Yeah,
they are
millions.
breaking off millions,
Millions.
to
For real,
them
for real.
in regard to that. So it can't get back their time, but the
They
time
gonna
they
get
got
paid.
left.
And
And
then
they gonna
you
live
gonna be
lavish.
all right.
They can do some stuff with.
That's
Okay,
real.
good. Yeah, because I that to me was like, what?
Yeah, they get paid. And I mean, they get paid. But it's hard because of the things if you have to endure in prison. I mean, prison it's almost like in a business. You got your people that sell this, your people that do this, you got your rapists, and for a man to be in that prison society, it's not nothing nice. So I mean,
Then they come out bent. What does that do to your psyche, your soul, your head? How do you?
I mean,
maintain?
Psychologically, you're different for
You
for
can-
and
for
it's a
your
big
life.
business also.
Yeah,
It's a big
Oh
business.
yeah, and it's a shame that we have more black men in jail than we do in college.
It's Mexicans and blacks. They get incarcerated quick. It's a business. I mean, that's real talk. I know this for a fact. I mean, they're giving in California right now. I got a couple of friends that was in a situation that involved a European woman, and no one was killed.
Okay.
Was robbed, but they gave them life in prison
For robbing?
for robbing
Oh.
and beating up. They wasn't expecting the person to be there. They gave him life in prison. I was like, they gave him life for that.
Right.
Nobody was killed. So they're locking them up. It's business. They get paid for the criminals for the.
Well, I mean, it's
people
not
that's
just
in there.
it's just not adults. You know, your sister,
Kids, yeah.
your sister and I worked in
Group homes, huh?
juvenile facilities for many years, and that's a multi-million-dollar business as well. So it's unfortunate, you know, but we got to try to do what we can to keep our people out of there.
That's real talk.
Our young men and women
That's real talk.
out of there, and hopefully the prison system will go broke.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
But I don't know. I just think that, you'd have two children born on the same day, one black, one European, male. And on that day, based on the color of his skin, nothing to do with the content of his character or what he might grow up to be, the European is going to automatically have $20,000 worth more credibility, and whatever else than the black one.
Okay.
And that's just truth, and it grows up that way. We've got to change that. We've got to install and instill in our young people that, you can overcome this. You should overcome. As a matter of fact, I don't say that you're better, you're greater, but your mindset should be and can be. And let me just stop right here and go to my little up the skirt blow. Dana has two sons.
Right.
And to me, a more hands-on father and mother.
Yeah, I think it's a big difference.
Talking
Staying together,
Power
staying
couple.
together, working out.
We're talking about power couple.
Yeah,
We're
that's
not gonna
real.
talk about him because he's here.
Right,
We're
right.
talk about him, forget he's here.
I
think
agree
that,
with you.
Those children are mannerable, smart, athletic, and they're into things. And I do believe that as a parent, when you introduce your children to things other than the norm,
Exactly.
they are other than the norm children, and they are.
Absolutely. And I
Oh,
thank you for
Dana's
that.
here.
I think,
Let him say something.
I thank you for that compliment. But you know what? We really have prided ourselves on our children having a higher level of expectation.
Yeah.
Right.
We have instilled in them that they should expect the best. They should expect the best in regards to living situations. They should expect the best in regards to their education. They should expect the best out of their friendships, whatever the case may be. And also, when you instill the higher expectation in them, then they're less likely to settle for anything else that comes along that doesn't meet that expectation.
Right.
Whether that's a girlfriend or boyfriend, whether that's the type of teaching that they're getting in class, whether that's a job that they go to, or whatever the case may be. So, we do have to educate our children in regards to the uphill battle that they're going to have. I think without a shadow of a doubt, that's a must. But I also think that sometimes that extra fight and that extra energy that they have to put forth in order to succeed is going to make them a better individual later on, because they're going to know that things weren't given to them.
Right.
And they're going to know that things didn't just come to them because of the fact of who they were or what their last name was or what college they attended or whatever the case may be. They know that they're going to have to fight for any and everything that they want. And because of that, it gives them a great appreciation for stuff later on.
I'm gonna tell you something that I liked that Dana
You
did
gonna
with
stop
it.
pointing that gum at me too.
I'm pointing at you, yeah.
Why is the gum on your finger? That's looking. You got it in my face. Get the Sam Hill.
Okay.
I'm telling you, Joe Jit over here in this orange shirt. Joe Jit
I think
over
I'm
here
cute
in this
today.
orange
But
shirt.
anyway,
Monkeys are cute.
no, I'm fine.
Okay, all right.
I'm a
then.
fine
Say
black
that then,
man.
because I go to the
I'm a
monkey
fine
story.
black man.
Go to the
Okay?
monkey story on y'all. I'll tell you about
I
the
heard
monkey.
about
Yeah.
the monkey
All right,
story.
all right, so
You don't want to hear that.
All right.
I'm gonna tell you this real quick. Dana's my mother. Dana, of course, that's my brother-in-law, and he's married to my sister. They have 2 boys. But my mother had me laughing, and it was a quality that she talked about Dana that she liked. She said that Miles or something wanted to go on a date, and Dana basically told him, "You need to get a job, get some money, and take the girl on a date. I'm not paying for your dates." And I said, "That's true."
What I told him, what I told him is that your mother and I will make sure that your needs are met and taken care of, but your wants, you need to take care of. I'm not financing your romance.
I love it. I love it.
I cracked up when my mother told me
I
that.
love it. Said, I'm not financing
We'll
your romance.
make sure that you have clothes on your back, food on the table, roof over your head, all that. But I am not paying for you going on dates.
Now, did he get a job or did he earn
yes,
something?
he did. Yes, he did.
Did he go on a date?
My son like money too much not to be working.
He
bro.
likes
He
shoes
he
too.
works.
likes
He
shoes.
works. That
Yeah.
brother keep a job.
He does. Yeah.
He was lifeguarding this year.
Yeah, he was lifeguard over the summer. He truly enjoyed it. It was really great. But yeah, you have to have those type of conversations because of the fact that there is a transitional period that takes place with kids, because there is a transition in which maybe they're 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever, and they want to go to the movie and you're paying for it. They want to go roller skating and you're paying for it, or whatever the case may be. But then all of a sudden they're 14, 15, 16, 17, and they're still wanting to go roller skating. They're still wanting to go to the movies, and they got their hands out. And I'm like, hey,
Wait a minute.
Get a job.
Not only that, they want to take somebody with them.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
exactly,
That's the
exactly.
date.
And my son is not cheap. He's taking his girls to PF Chang's and I'm like, come on, dude.
Well, now, see, if you teach him the finer things in life, he expects to do the finer things in life.
Absolutely.
And anybody that's going to be with him is going to expect the finer things in life.
And
So,
experience the
Without-
finer things in life.
experience the finer things. So,
Without a doubt.
you PF Change, you.
Hey, that's a real date.
Really? And when she go home, and mother said, "Where'd you go?" "Oh, he took me to PF Change." Let's call his parents right now.
And mama gonna say, I ain't even been to PF Chang's.
Yeah,
I only
let's
been
make sure
once.
that
I only
we
been
do
once.
this right. PF what?
I only been there
What
once.
does this young man do for a living?
that
Who are his parents? Let's call it. Let's solidify this. Let's start this off right now.
And that's why when I meet my my son's girlfriend's parents for the first time, I drive the Honda, not the BMW.
We're low keying this. We are low keying.
This is lie, right?
Yeah, see, that's a conspiracy theory. We just low key this.
He
They don't see
it.
they don't see the BMW until I know it's serious.
No. But that makes sense.
But they change every week sometimes. When I was in high
man.
school, I had a different one every other week.
Different girlfriend.
Oh goodness.
I was a player.
Really?
Yeah, but
It's
then
time to cut
I
the
found Jesus.
It's time to
Then I
cut
found
the
Jesus. I got saved.
We're gonna go.
I got saved, baptized,
Oh my
filled with the
goodness!
Holy Ghost.
If
2, 3, 4 times.
I don't know if I
I just got rededicated Sunday
rededicated to the Lord.
to the Lord. Just got rededicated.
Let's talk about that when we come back from break.
Okay, let's take a break.
I'm gonna tell y'all about it.
And go hear some music. Fitty Fit, would you please play Why Can't We Be Friends by War?
Oh my goodness.
You still on camera though.
Now we still
Okay.
Still live.
That is funny.
So you got rededicated.
I got rededicated.
Now, I want you to explain to me what rededication means, because I didn't grow up in the church like y'all.
Oh, okay.
Like when I met your sister, like it wasn't that I didn't know what church was, but I couldn't find it if I wanted to.
Right.
So I didn't grow up in.
What
So a
church
lot
did
of
y'all
stuff.
go to?
When we were out there, we were at with Pastor Chuck Singleton.
Loveland.
Loveland.
Okay.
Yeah,
Loveland.
Yeah, it's called Loveland Church out in
That's the child-
Ontario,
the-
California.
Isn't that the love line? I have heard all about love.
I don't know
That's the
the
Watts
song.
103rd Street Rhythm Band.
Wow,
Yeah.
you done went back.
And I know I'll never get to Loveland unless I'm wrapped. You don't remember that?
Come on.
I don't
now,
remember that.
Come on now.
Really?
Come on now.
Wanna
You know.
that was a 50-minute segment that you guys
Okay.
did.
Oh, okay.
So
we
need
got
to go
10
back.
minutes.
We got 10 minutes.
Well, not even
5.
because you're playing a song.
Okay. Well, stop. Fade the song
Fade it
out. Fade the song
Say
out.
goodbye.
And
We gotta do the smoothest thing. And tell them next week we'll talk about deliverance.
Yeah, your rededication. Yeah. But you said we got to do what now?
We'll talk about my rededication.
No, but you said something about a movie or something.
Smoochy.
No,
Oh,
we gotta
gotta
go.
do the
Smooches.
thing.
Oh.
How much time do we have there?
You got about 4.5 minutes roughly.
Okay, well,
Do your thing, Michelle.
bring us on back. Okay.
Do your thing. Do your thing. We talk too much.
That, see, you miss out if you're on the radio. If you're watching us live, you get this one smooth slick over here. Say we talk too much, and I guess we have
No music.
because we've had no music except that one little song, and Dana asked for it. We have had so much to say, we didn't even get seriously into the conspiracy theories like I wanted to, but we have had some informative.
It's been nice.
It really has been. I enjoy having these guys with me, and I'm just going to extend this invitation to Dana. Anytime you think you want to
Come on
'cause,
down.
my God, it's just we Three Stooges are good.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
we Three Stooges
yes,
are good.
yes,
So,
yes.
that Fitty Fitters told me that y'all done talked enough. I need to say smooches and get it over with. So we just gonna say it's been real, it's been swell, it's even been real swell. I'll tell y'all about Loveland next week, and maybe then I'll come back and talk about some other stuff. In the meantime,
This is Poochie Smooches.
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 All right.
That was cool.
Dang.
That was just a minute.
That was fun.
Dang, that was a good show.
Good shit.
Hey.
Dang, you could have taped it on your phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about
Well,
that.
I think I'm gonna do those.
You wanted to get a picture
We're gonna get those.
so you can show your kids?
Yeah.
But when you get home, you can pull this up and show it to them
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, you can't just go on the station.
On your-
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
on the website and hit the live button and then scroll down for what's on my mind.
Fit. But let's take a picture together. Get a picture, Dana. Get Fit your camera. Can you take a picture real quick, Fit?
Oh, yeah, no problem at all.
And then y'all can send it to me so I have